So you got your hands on a brand new Baofeng. You've got the Chirp software all ready to go, you plug the cable in, and absolutely nothing. It's probably one of the most common frustrations in the entire hobby. But hey, trust me, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to get this thing sorted out, and we're going to get it sorted out for good.
Ah yes, this old friend, that dreaded radio did not respond error. I'm willing to bet this is the exact message that brought you here. I totally get it. It is incredibly frustrating. But the good news, the fix is usually way simpler than you might think.
So what is actually going on here? Why isn't your computer talking to your radio? And, the most important question is, how do we make sure this never, ever happens to you again? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to walk through the problem and get you a permanent solution.
Okay, first things first, and this is a big one. Stop reinstalling drivers. Seriously, 99% of the time, the problem has nothing to do with your software or your computer. It's a physical, mechanical problem between that programming cable and the radio itself.
This right here, this is the heart of the problem. It's what we call the mechanical gap. If you look at that plastic molding around the two pins on your cable, it's often just a fraction of a millimeter too thick. It literally bumps into the radio's body before the metal pins can sink all the way into their sockets, so you get no contact, no connection. It really is that simple.
So how do we close that gap? Well, we've got two options. There's a quick and dirty temporary fix that'll get you programming right now. And then there's a small, permanent modification that will make sure you never have to think about this ever again. Let's take a look at both.
On the left, we've got the super push. You can think of this as the brute force method. And on the right, we've got the shave, a more elegant and permanent solution. The super push will get you out of a jam, but if you plan on programming your radio more than once, you're definitely going to want to do the shave.
All right, for the super push, you really got to commit to it. Plug it in, and then you need to push way harder than feels normal. You're listening and feeling for a very distinct click when it finally seats all the way in. Now here's the key, do not let go. There are little springs in there that can push it right back out. You have to keep that firm pressure on it the entire time you're clicking download or upload in Chirp.
And now for my favorite, the permanent fix, the shave. Just take a look at the flat side of that connector, the part that sits right up against the radio's body. Grab a craft knife, and you're just going to carefully shave off a millimeter or two of that black plastic. All you're doing is creating just enough clearance for the plug to sit deeper in the socket and make that solid connection.
Okay, I have to be super clear here. Be careful. You are only shaving the soft plastic or rubber casing. Do not cut, bend, or even scratch the metal pins themselves, and for sure don't cut into the wire. Just go slow, take a little bit off at a time, and test the fit. You'll be amazed how little you actually need to remove to get a perfect, solid connection every single time.
All right, one last little pre-flight check before we jump into the software. If you're somehow still having issues, just run through this list. First, is the radio actually turned on? It sounds obvious, I know, but we've all done it. Second, crank that volume knob all the way to 100%. And finally, make sure the radio is on a quiet, unused frequency. Any incoming transmission while you're trying to program it will cause the whole thing to fail.
All right, connection solved. Now you get the reward. We get to customize the radio so it works exactly how you want it to. And first on the list is taming that unique dual push-to-talk button you see on radios like the UV82. So, inside Chirp, head over to the Settings tab and look for an option called TDRAB. This is what controls that big rocker switch. Setting it to off gives you that true dual control, top button for the top frequency, bottom for the bottom. Setting it to A locks both buttons to the top frequency, which honestly is how I prefer it, it just prevents mistakes. And of course B locks it to the bottom. If you want that dual PTT feature, make sure this is set to off.
Next up, let's fix the single most annoying thing about a Baofeng right out of the box, that constant, maddening squelch hiss. The good news is there is a definitive fix for this, and in the community it's known as the Mickler standard.
So, why does it do this? You turn the squelch on the radio up to 5, then 6, maybe even all the way to 9, and you still hear that static hiss. The problem is deep in the firmware. The actual values that correspond to those numbers, from 0 to 9, are just set way too low from the factory. It means there's almost no real difference between a squelch of 1 and a squelch of 9. And the fix is actually super easy. In Chirp, you just have to go one level deeper. Go to Service Settings instead of the basic settings. In there, you'll see the squelch levels, from 0 all the way to 9. The fix is to just replace those weak factory values with the Mickler standard values, which you can find with a really quick search.
These new numbers create a much wider, more useful range, so that a squelch of 3 actually sounds different from a 7, and you can finally get a quiet radio.
Okay, we did it. We fixed our connection, we've set up our PTT button just how we like it, and we finally silenced that hiss. There is just one more thing left to do, and I promise you it is the most important step of all: saving your work.
Remember, all these fantastic changes we made in Chirp only exist on your computer until you send them back to the radio. So just go up to the radio menu at the top of the screen and select Upload to Radio. Click OK on the little box that pops up, and then just watch your radio. The little light will start flashing, and after a moment, it'll reboot itself. And that's it. Your new, much improved settings are now live.
And there you have it. You've officially conquered the connection error, you've tamed the controls, and you've silenced the noise. You took what was a frustrating piece of plastic and metal, and you made it truly yours. So the only real question left is, with a radio that finally works the way it's supposed to, what are you going to explore next?